Army units destroy terrorist dens in Aleppo and eliminate a number of terrorists in Dar'a and Quneitra suburbs. Yemeni tribes kill 18 Saudi soldiers in a military border base north of Saada. Iraqi troops mobilize more troops to recapture al-Ramadi and kick ISIL terrorists out. Good afternoon. Syrian Arab Army units have eliminated a number of terrorists after targeting their hideouts in Karm al-Qatarji in ancient Aleppo. The army also killed terrorists from Jabhat al-Nusra east of Tal Antar in Dar'a countryside and others in Tal Mashara in Quneitra suburb. Meanwhile, mortar shells fired by terrorists fell on Al-Matar neighborhood in Dar'a. A source in Dar'a governorate said the terrorist attack was carried out as students were heading to schools for their exams. He added that the attack resulted in material damage. In Hasaka countryside, the Syrian Arab Army took control of the eastern part of Abdelaziz mountainous chain, which had been used by ISIL terrorist gangs as a center from which they launched their attacks on the region. A number of ISIL terrorists, including 5 non-Syrians, were killed and others were injured when Syrian Arab Army units targeted their hideouts in the outskirts of Soda and Habad villages southwest of Al-Hasaka. 1 person was killed and 8 others wounded following mortar shells launched by terrorists on Damascus, Harasta and Al-Mazra'a residential areas and Al-Wafidin camp. A police source in Damascus said that 2 shells hit Al-Mazra'a area, killing 1 and wounding 3 others. Material damages were inflicted on cars and commercial shops. In Aleppo, 2 people were killed and 16 others wounded following mortar shells launched by terrorists on Al-Ashrafiyya area. The 10 Turkish military personnel detained in the case of the weapons-loaded trucks belonging to the Turkish intelligence, which were held as they were on their way to Syria, said that they had seized detonators and ammunition in those trucks. The Turkish Cumhuriyet daily quoted one of the detained officers as saying in his statement during interrogation that he and his fellow soldiers came across detonators, ammunition and bullets, pointing out that the Gendarmerie unit had prepared a report on the detonators as the homicide unit examined the bullets and ammunition. The military affirmed in their statement before the general prosecutor that the allegations about transferring humanitarian aid in the Turkish intelligence trucks to Syria are false, especially after examining their contents. The paper said the general prosecutor tried to take the investigation out of the context by asking those military about their alleged relationship and contacts with the Turkish opposition member Fethullah Gulen and journalist Omra Oso, the editor in the Turkish Taraf Daily. In response to the continuous Saudi aggression on Yemen, tribe members broke into a Saudi military base near the border area of Falab, north of Saada, killing 18 Saudi officers and soldiers. The assailants defied Saudi Apache helicopters and took control of the army base, inflicting heavy losses upon it. The Iraqi army and the People's Defense Group mobilizing troops in Al-Habaniya camp in order to liberate Al-Ramadi of ISIL terrorists. A military statement by the Ministry of Defense confirmed that Iraqi troops are getting ready to start a major military campaign. Head of the Governorate Council of Al-Anbar province stressed that the government has deployed large numbers of troops to take part in the liberation of Al-Ramadi. Meanwhile, Al-Ramadi news source said ISIL terrorists committed mass killings against the civilian population in the area. Israel settlers broke today into Al-Aqsa Mosque through Al-Maghariba Gate supported by occupation soldiers. Meanwhile, Israeli military bulldozers began to bulldoze more than 40 dunams of farmland in Hussan village, west of Bethlehem, in order to expand settlement buildings in Nahalin and Hussan area. Israel occupation troops also closed the main entrance leading to Borim village, south of Nablus, and declared it a closed military area. In another development, 11 Palestinians were arrested by occupation troops in different parts of the West Bank. Syrian expatriate in Ukraine, Said Al-Jurdi, the citizen of Homs, wins the title of Ukraine Got Talent, obtaining the admiration of both spectators and judges.
Said! Вот такой вот выбор Украины! Победитель 7-го сезона Журди Саид Абдаллах!
Syrian expatriate in Ukraine, Said Al-Jurdi, has been declared the winner of Ukraine Got Talent in the final episode of the show. His study of medicine has not stood in the way of his passion for art. He excelled in his performance, causing everyone to be amazed and overjoyed by his singing, which won him the title. He proudly raised the flag of his homeland Syria high in the land of expatriation. Said Al-Jurdi, the citizen of Homs, has reached the Ukrainian Got Talent final, meriting the admiration of the audience and the deep appreciation of the judges.
Ladies and gentlemen, with this we conclude our news. Thank you for watching. And now to latest business and market news with Serena, but after a short break.
Good afternoon. The Ministry of Tourism has signed with the Ministry of Administrative Development a national plan for the administrative development. The Minister of Tourism clarified that this step came in order to boost and support the tourism sector. For his part, the Minister of Administrative Development stressed the importance of this plan that develops the establishment's work in the Tourism Ministry through focusing on several major points. The Central Bank of Syria has set the exchange rate of the US dollar against the Syrian pound at 256.11 for the banks and 256.27 for the exchange companies. The Central Bank has also set the exchange rate of the US dollar against the Syrian pound for commercial and non-commercial purposes at 220.15. The euro exchange rate against the Syrian pound was set at 285.17 for the banks and 285.35 for the exchange companies. Oil edged up today, supported by a drawdown in the U.S. crude inventories, although weak China data and concerns about excess oil supply capped price gains. European stocks fell for the first time in 4 days amid mixed reports on the region's manufacturing. Japan's Nikkei share average ended flat today after hitting a fresh 15-year high as investors took profits ahead of the Bank of Japan's 2-day policy meeting on Friday. Gold held above $1,200 US announced today, as minutes from the Federal Reserve's policy meet showed that the US Central Bank was unlikely to hike interest rates in June, in line with market expectations. The dollar stepped back in Asian trade today, but held close to a 2-week peak against a basket of major currencies as investors focused on the pace of the U.S. Federal Reserve's coming interest rate hikes. This will conclude our economic news for today. Thank you for watching and goodbye.